Hello, everybody, and welcome to the week or the year that was. I am Aaron Maxon, along with my co-hosts Nate and Archie. Welcome, guys.
Hello, everybody.
What's up,
Butcher,
everybody?
butcher the beginning of that, but I don't really care. Um, not getting paid, so
Exactly.
um, this week is the week of uh, Monday Night Raw from February 17th, 1997. So obviously WCW is on February 17th, 1997, because we're in the height of the Monday Night Wars. And we'll also be recapping ECW from that week, which I did not find the date for it. For some reason, I couldn't find it on the network. I don't know if it was a glitch or what. But ECW, it varies. Sometimes it's on like the Wednesday of the week. Sometimes it's on the Thursday of the week. So I don't know. But what we're doing is we're coming out of last night for the year 1997 was WWF Fatal 4-Way. So I'm sure you guys remember that pay-per-view. It had Bret Hart coming out of it as the WWF champion, and it was supposed to be Sid getting a shot here, but that did not happen. So Sid is going to get a shot here in Nashville, and that is how we are opening Monday Night Raw. Unless you guys have any questions going into this.
I was just going to say this is one of my favorite episodes of Monday Night Raw ever.
It's a great episode. It's a great episode. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and start this journey. I think I got my words all lined up now. The announced team is Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler. And Monday Night Raw opens straight away. Bret Hart versus Sid Vicious for the WWF Championship. Jim Ross, as Sid is coming out, mentions that The Undertaker will be getting the shot no matter what at WrestleMania 13. Bret then comes out, and all of a sudden, Steve Austin just jumps Bret Hart, and he also clips Sid's knee. Sid is hurt, but they're giving him time as he's laying in the ring. There's highlights. Basically they go to a commercial. They show more of HBK's recap of Thursday Raw Thursday. They show highlights from the Fatal 4, yada, yada, yada. Comes back and turns out that Sid is going to be given not just time to recuperate while waiting in the ring, but they're going to push the match back further down or higher up the card, whatever you want to call it. And Sid cuts an interview saying that no matter what, he's going to get Bret in the ring, and it's actually a pretty good hook. It got the people to, because remember, this is the Monday Night Wars, so they got people that would have turned on Raw going, oh shit, we have the title match first, but that doesn't happen. But they still promise you this title match is going to happen. So now it's like, now they've already seen the beginning of it. Now they want to stick around because now you get what I'm saying. Like they gave him a reason. Yeah. Like if like the match after this, no offense to these guys, is Mark Mero and Savio Vega. So if they would have opened with Mark Mero and Savio Vega, somebody would probably be like, let's see what's on Nitro first, and then they get hooked. Mm-hmm. Turn on the thing. First thing they see is Sid Vicious coming out. Like, all right, title match, Steve Austin, boom, boom, boom. Well, now I gotta see it.
And on top of that, it feels chaotic and spontaneous, which is it's something that you weren't necessarily. Well, I mean, I guess now by this point we were with like the NWO and stuff, but you guys know what I mean. It was different. It felt so different than most other things you'd ever seen before at this point.
Yeah.
Well, right, Nate. At this point too, and Nitro was really NWO heavy. So if you missed like the first 30 minutes of Nitro, you basically got to recapture the whole show because they just kept bringing out the NWO anyway. So, Raw doing this kind of made fans go, well, let's see what Raw has to offer because I know what WCW is going to be putting on.
Yeah. So anything else on that, guys?
No, sir.
All right. So I did foreshadow the next match is Mark Mero versus Savio Vega. The Nation of Domination's at ringside, except for Farouk, who is standing above the Raw sign, watching from the crowd. Sable's out there with Mark Marrow, and the Nation ends up basically surrounding Sable. She gets in the ring. They're gonna beat her up. They're knocking down Mark Marrow, and then Ahmed Johnson comes out with his gigantic board and saves the day.
As much as you know how much I love Savio Vega, at this time he was everyone's favorite leather-clad Puerto Rican.
Yes.
With his leather jacket, his leather cap, his leather pants.
Yes. It's very much like Sable now, very leathery. Sorry, Brock Lesnar.
No, you're good.
I know you're listening, Brock Lesnar.
2 weeks from now, we're going to be recording Knock on the Door. It's going to be Brock Lesnar. What did you say?
Yeah, I'd be like, this is awesome. I'm about to get my ass kicked by Brock Lesnar. As long as he doesn't kill me, that's the story. It's also the only thing that Mark Marrow ever said that entertained me. Did you guys ever listen to him when he was interviewed by Chris Jericho?
Oh, when you mentioned that he had Sable before Brock?
Well, you guys still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It just went to one picture, so I can't see anybody because you guys have your stuff off. But he says that he had always been talking to Sable and like they had left together or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they weren't in the WWF anymore, and then WWE called and wanted her back, but not him, and she didn't want to go because he was worried about him not going with him. You know what I mean? And he said, "No, babe, if you want to go. I understand. Do your thing." So she goes, and he goes, for like the first couple months, she's always calling me. She's always answering her phone, this, that, and the other thing. And then he finds out all of a sudden she's like not answering the phone all the time. She's not always where she says she's going to be. He's been in the wrestling business, so he knows what's going on. So he's like, she's cheating. She's cheating on me. Mm-hmm. And if I he's like, I'm a Golden Glove boxer. If I find out who she's cheating on me with, I'm going to kick their fucking ass.
Uh-huh.
And then he finds out, he's like, and then I found out it was Brock Lesnar. And when you find out your wife's cheating on you with Brock Lesnar, everything changes. I was like, I hope you two are very happy together.
You're right.
This will be this will be a fine divorce. I hope you two are very happy together. He said, I want nothing to do with this.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
You know, it reminds me of Debo. You want some of this, old man? No.
No.
Yeah. Like when you find out your wife's cheating on you with Brock Lesnar, everything changes. I was like, Godspeed. It was just to crack me up. So that match ends obviously with Mark Marrow winning by disqualification. And then the next match is for the Intercontinental Championship, and nobody cares. It's Leif Cassidy versus Rocky Maivia, and nobody cares.
You got The Rock versus Al Snow, and nobody cares.
Yes, but this isn't The Rock versus Al Snow. This is Leif Cassidy versus Rocky Maivia.
The blue chipper.
They don't even care enough about him yet to boo him. Like, they're not happy that he's there. They're not sick of him. They're just indifferent. Like, they care nothing for this guy. It's a very quiet match, or a very quiet entrance for The Rock. You don't even really see Leaf's entrance. And the fans finally make some noise when they bring out the special timekeeper, Sonny. So
we all know who's over in this segment.
Yes, so they're all happy to see Sonny in Nashville. She's wearing one of her little pink numbers, and they're happy about it. So this match is going on, and she's making like the googly. She's like doing like the googly eye thing to Rock, like they're showing her or whatever. They bring up the fact that, and this is one of my favorite Monday Night Raws. They bring up the fact that WWF Raw will be returning to the Manhattan Center next week. If you guys know what that is, well, you'll find out here in a little bit.
That is the Raw where ECW invades.
Yes.
Which is a very good Raw.
Yes. We're moving into primo 1997 here very soon. Right. Shit's about to start popping off, and this is like when middle school Aaron was like, fuck yeah, wrestling is it. Like all my friends all my friends either finally admitted they liked it or just started getting into it, and I was like, I am not an asshole now. Like,
I'm not an outcast.
Yes. People are coming to me saying, I didn't watch in '92. Tell me what happened. Like, I'll tell you the tale of Jake the Snake Roberts and the Macho Man Randy Savage.
I'll tell you the tale of Miss Elizabeth wearing only the staple.
Yes. You will never understand what it was like when the Mega Powers exploded. Sit down and I will discuss it with you. It was awesome times for a hardcore wrestling fan in 1997. It was fantastic.
It was.
You were like the king if you knew this stuff. But anyway, this match is going on.
When you were, Aaron, when you were really super cool in school too? Like when it was the Sunday night of a pay-per-view?
Oh, yeah.
It was Sunday night of a pay-per-view, and you got to watch it, but all your school friends had to go to bed, and you'd come to school telling them what happened at the pay-per-view.
Yes.
It was like everybody was like enthralled. I'll tell you what happened at Royal Rumble. Yes, come sit next to me.
I was a human Google.
A Hugo.
Shawn Michaels was booed. Shawn Michaels was even booed in San Antonio. No, yes.
During this match, they're talking about Raw returning. They do a little foreshadowing because a fan is taunting Jerry Lawler with an ECW sign. And Lawler, obviously, this fan is a plant, but he is agitating Lawler with the ECW sign. Lawler's not really putting it over much. He's kind of agitated by it. And Rocky ends up hitting his shoulder breaker finisher on Leif Cassidy and getting the 1, 2, 3. Then Lawler gets really mad and grabs the sign, rips it up, and says the ECW is either full of misfits or has-beens or never wases. And basically just calls it trash. You guys, I'll just go through this. You guys got anything to add? You can add where you feel.
I always felt that Rock, as Rocky Maivia, the outfit obviously that he came out with, which I know was to pay homage to Peter Maivia, his grandfather, but it looked really weird on him. And I think after the second or third time he wore it, it should have been scrapped. And his finishers were really dull at this point. He had that shoulder breaker that you mentioned. Then he started doing a splash, which was really awkward for him to do it. I always thought that the float over DDT was a better finisher for him because he hit it so crisply. But this was a really bad time for Rocky Maivia. Like you said, Aaron, he didn't get booed or cheered. And the fans were just like, "Oh fuck, it's him again." Okay, everybody get quiet.
I want to tell a quick funny story. Archie mentioned the outfit that Rocky wore. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I will, as a collector, I will check the shopgoodwill.com website because they do auctions on there. Okay.
Yes, you do.
And they'll have lots of WWF figures or whatever. It used to be more fun because before people knew about it, I could get stuff real cheap. Now people know about it. So, you get fucked out of a lot of auctions. But anyway, that's beside the point. The other day, there was a lot that I looked at. I ultimately didn't bid on it, but I found it humorous. It had a bunch of different figures in it, and it was a bunch of it was a mix of like BCAs and elites and stuff like that. Okay, but they had a they had a Triple H figure in the lot, but on him they had the Rocky Maivia, like,
Oh God.
like they were like the Rocky Maivia figure was nowhere in the lot.
Mhm.
But they had the little, little thing he wore around his neck with the tassels and stuff on it on a Triple H figure. I don't know. I found it humorous.
Did they think
I
that was
am
his
the
thing?
game.
Did they think that was his thing?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did they just think he was funny?
Usually, what ends up happening is people find their old toys and they just take this big mass picture and whatever accessories they find, they just throw them on whoever they can because it's like, this is all you're getting. This is everything.
You'll see like a Papa Shango top hat on Shawn Michaels,
Right.
That probably happened.
What?
Virgil will have
It happened at some point in real life.
Virgil will have the
Shawn
big
Michaels
gold belt on his waist. Yeah.
You can't tell me in
Right. Shawn Michaels
1992.
definitely wore that hat.
Yeah, you can't tell me in 1992 Charles Wright and Shawn Michaels never partied together.
Sean, put on my hat and take a puff.
Ain't no way.
Take a puff of it, Sean.
It's the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Go Michaels.
There you
go. Then Goldust and Marlena are interviewed because it's a pay-per-view was the debut of China, and China we don't know she's China yet. She attacked Marlena. Well, this time they Triple H comes out and attacks, or Goldust and Marlena are cutting a promo in the ring. Hunter comes out and interrupts, attacks Goldust. Marlena jumps on Triple H, and then the mystery woman once again attacks. And obviously, the mystery woman, like I said, is China. But she attacks Marlena, and they actually do a really good job with this because Lawler is even like, put her in jail. Like even Lawler's like, these stupid fans can't be jumping. He's like basically like this ain't ECW. Like these stupid fans can't be jumping the crowd and getting in like so it wasn't even like, oh yeah, get her, because they're trying to present it as being she's a fan that's obsessed with Triple H and wants to protect him.
Right.
So I thought that was a pretty good touch. And this is actually
her not talking helped that immensely. See, if she would have said anything or cut a promo, someone would have been able to tell that she was a wrestler already.
Yeah.
But her just being silent and deadly was perfect.
Yeah, and I'd say up until like 99 when Russo got so much power in the writing of the shows and stuff, that was the best China.
Most definitely.
And especially at this time, like before she got all her work done and everything like that. Like it's not even the fact that she was just so terrible or whatever. It's just the fact that I didn't like her wrestling dudes and all that shit. And she wasn't actually that good of a wrestler. She was just more of an attraction. And
definitely this point through DX. Because at this point, being the monster, she does a great job with this. And then through DX, which obviously we'll get to it in the future. But her being the semi-serious chick surrounded by these clowns, and she's got they're making their jokes. And instead of like participating in the jokes, she's kind of rolling her eyes at it. Maybe she'll get a little shitty smirk once in a while, but she did such a good job being that quote unquote straight man in DX.
Yeah, right.
And this is the infancy of the China character. That's the other fun thing about going back and watching this stuff is because you're like you can pay more attention to it and watch it evolve. Than when it was just going on, because then it was just China was just China. You know what I mean? Like you don't notice the evolution of things. The next match is the Headbangers versus Matt and Jeff Hardy. This is their first appearance in 1997 on Raw, at least. I know they were there before, but 97. This is the first time, and this time is they actually have I think this is them finally saying, okay, we're going to try to do something with these kids because they call them Matt and Jeff. They have a look, and they're fighting the Headbangers, and it's actually not a bad match.
Right, they actually get some offense then.
Yes, and the Headbangers, I think, were an under team, and they do really good here. They do a split screen where Farouk. WrestleMania 13 is one of the most tweaked WrestleManias of all time, but at the start of this, Farouk is just challenging Ahmed Johnson to a singles Chicago street fight, which we'll later on find out what happens with that. During the match, Lawler talks about how uncool Jim Ross is and talking about the Headbangers, saying like, do you even like the Headbangers music? And Jim Ross is like, what? And he's like, like Marilyn Manson. And Jim Ross goes, I've never even heard of that woman. And he says that, and they make some other like metal jokes, and then they announce that the WWF title match is up next, which is another really smart thing because they're going into the top of the hour. So they're like, hey, 2 hours now. We don't want you
anybody
getting
who
bored.
Anybody who changed the channel to WCW got the phone call from their buddy. Hey, Raw's about to have the world title match. Come back and watch.
Yeah.
So everybody flipped back to Raw, only to be disappointed again.
Yes. Well, actually, I wasn't disappointed. I think it's cool. But
No, you know what I mean.
Yeah, the Headbangers end up winning that match with the stage dive, and then, Sid comes back out. They show Bret Hart walking to the ring, and Steve Austin attacks him in the back. Bret doesn't even get out of the arena or out of the backstage of the arena. Sid runs back there to try to stop Steve from beating up Bret, and Vince McMahon and a bunch of other officials break it up. And it's a big clusterfuck. And it goes to break, and then Kevin Kelly comes back, and he's interviewing Gorilla Monsoon, who promises the match will happen. We're not like the other guys. When we say something's going to happen, it's going to happen. And he's going to make sure it happens tonight.
That was the fun thing about Raw being live on weeks after, like the night after a pay-per-view, because you'd get them throwing those little pot shots at WCW that they couldn't do on a taped show. They didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't know what was going to, be going on that week. So they just, like, when it was live, though, Raw got to retaliate just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Which is fun. Where am I at here?
Gorilla Monsoon just told us we're getting our title match tonight.
Yes. Sorry. Flash Funk is now going to go one-on-one with Owen Hart, and I was like, suck it. I was like, yeah. Like, suck it, Nitro. Like if Nitro was even on and somebody was like Owen Hart's fighting Flash Funk, I've been like, even in 97, like, I want to see this. And Flash Funk comes out first, and he's got the Funkettes with him, and this is actually pretty funny. Jerry Lawler's like, this is awesome. Can I get some Kingettes? Okay. And Jim Ross goes, you sure can, but yours would probably be portly. Said, you sure can, but yours would probably be portly. And Jim Lawler's like, what? Like, why do they got to be portly? And Ross is just like, don't think about it or whatever. And going. And then during the match, which is actually like a really good match, obviously it's Owen Hart and Flash Funk. It's fucking phenomenal. An ECW rep calls into the Monday Night Raw, and he gets patched through, and obviously it's Paulie Dangerously, and accepts Lawler's challenge. I forgot to mention that Lawler had challenged ECW to come to the Manhattan Center next week. Lawler brings up Blue Meanie, Sandman, Sabu, and Paulie says that they'll be there, and then he asks Lawler if he has to call the neighborhood watch and let them know he'll be in the neighborhood.
Oh God!
And it kind of goes a little off the rails there, and they end up hanging up. I think when you bring in pedophilia, it's pretty much like, okay, let's end the segment.
Notice something, and I'll just say it real quick, but notice, and again, this is like Aaron said, Owen Hart versus Too Cold Scorpio. That's a fantastic match. Savio Vega versus, what was it, Mark Marrow? I'm sure that was halfway decent. But, or even Rocky versus, who did he face? Leaf Cassidy. But you have these matches going on, but no,
Rocky didn't suck at this time. Like, he was just.
Well, no. But what I'm saying is, notice another thing they're doing to keep your eyes on the show is while these matches are going on in the ring, there's also something else going on. Farouk's doing a split screen. They've got a call in from Paul Heyman. You know, they're trying to keep your attention on the show and not want you to turn the channel because there's just a match going on in the ring.
Yeah. So it's all good stuff. Bulldog ends up coming out and kicking Clarence Mason away from ringside. They talk about how Clarence Mason's burned the candle at both ends, trying to be in the nation. Plus, I must have just gotten off of work when I wrote this note because I didn't write Clarence Mason. I wrote Clarence Mason. But anyway, Bulldog kicks out old Clarence Mason.
We've got no clearance, Clarence.
Yeah.
It's from Airplane.
Yeah.
And don't call me Shirley.
How do you like your coffee? Like my men, strong and black.
The shit just hit the fan.
What kind of plane is it? It's a big white one with a red stripe around it. Looks like a giant Tylenol.
Excuse me, stewardess. I speak jive. Oh, do you?
Or when they give him the paperwork. I like the gay dude. He's one of my favorite characters on
Oh, God, he's fantastic.
I can make a hat. I can make a beard.
Yeah, what can you make of this? I can make a hat. I can make a bow.
You know what? Last week, the listeners don't know, but Aaron and Archie know. I had a fucking week at work, okay? I don't know how many times throughout the week I was like, I picked the wrong day to stop huffing glue.
Yeah.
Yep.
I picked the wrong day to stop doing crack. Anyway, I know we got off the rails there.
Well, and Owen ends up winning that match because Bulldog ends up hitting him with the slammy, and Owen hits his spin wheel and gets the 1, 2, 3. Then they play the first hype for WrestleMania 13. It's just like a generic WrestleMania video, like just the Immortals, whatever, because they don't know what the fuck they're doing yet at WrestleMania.
Because Sean kind of ruined that. They knew what they were doing, but then Sean lost his smile, so it was like, oh fuck, we got to start from square one.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that if you read about WrestleMania 13 that they initially we're gonna do this, and WrestleMania 13 turned out to be nothing like they anticipated.
Yeah, it was gonna be Austin versus Bulldog,
Vader versus
Sean,
Vader versus Mick.
Yeah.
It was gonna be everything and nothing that they had on. It was just supposed to be Ahmed versus.
But it turned out better though.
Oh, it's just one of my favorite WrestleManias. But it's just nothing that I've never seen a WrestleMania, or at least that I know of, that when they were like, "This is where we're starting, this is where we're gonna end," and nothing was like it. But it's a fantastic show. The next match is Triple H versus Bart Gunn. The Honky Tonk Man comes out. He's talking about trying to find the Intercontinental, find the next Honky Tonk Man, the next greatest Intercontinental champion of all time. He says they ask him about the mystery woman. He says, I don't know a lot about her, but I know she's the type of woman I like. So apparently the Honky Tonk Man wants to bang the mystery woman. And that match ends in count out because Goldust comes out and chases Triple H away.
Probably the only match Bart Gunn got to win, and that wasn't a brawl for all match.
Yeah. Or against Billy.
Right.
Then we get an update from Dr. James Andrews about Shawn Michaels and says that it wasn't a career-ending injury, and eventually if he does, they basically say if he doesn't have surgery and just rehabs and does what he has to do, he could probably get back in the ring. But if he had surgery, it would be a 50-50 chance if he could. So, sounds like Shawn Michaels is going to elect to not have surgery. This is where Brett calls bullshit. And the first time that I know of that him and Sean are kind of like he's just basically like this bullshit, and Brett doesn't like it. He doesn't do that in real life yet, but basically Brett says that Sean lied. He did.
Yeah, but on television, he was all like, I hope Sean gets better. I feel for him, but at the end of the day, I'm still the world heavyweight champion. So, he was still playing the political card of not trying to be an asshole on television. Yet.
So now we're finally gonna get your main event. We're finally gonna get the WWF Championship match. Brett comes out, Sid comes out, the bell rings, and they're like, "Yeah!" Like people are like, "Finally, this thing's gonna go." It's actually not a bad match. I put in my notes with someone good, Sid is good. Like when he's actually in there with somebody that can actually get a good thing out of him, a good match out of him, he's enjoyable. You put Sting in the ring with Kevin Nash? Nope.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And that's not knocking Kevin Nash. But Kevin Nash is not a good wrestler. But you put him in there with somebody like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, even Sting, somebody like that, you can get something out of him. And
some guys need someone to take control of the match and lead them to a good match.
Yeah, Lex Luger was the same way. The same way. He had his best matches were with somebody that could make him.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that his best matches were just like Sid, somebody that can make him have to work up to them.
His best matches were with Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, Brian Pillman, and Sting. That's the only time I ever enjoyed Lex Luger in the ring. Other than that, he's a turkey. Just
his worst match was with Barry Windham.
Yeah, I've seen some.
And that wasn't Wyndham's fault.
I've seen some.
Wyndham's fault. No, I'm talking about when they fought for the title, though.
Yeah, I've had maybe one of his worst mainstream matches. I had to watch Lex Luger versus Roadblock.
Oh, that's horrible. When sending him up for the torture rackets, and Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I had to watch that. I had to watch him fight Ron Reese. Come on now.
No, you're right about that. You're right about that.
Like 1997. If 1989-91 Lex Luger is the best Lex Luger, 1995 through 1998 Lex Luger is fucking horrible. Just horrible. His little last run.
But yet the fans were cheering, though. Look at how bad that is. The fans were cheering for him in 97 and 98. But it was the worst he ever was.
He's boring. Him and Giant. This is like, ugh. But we'll get there. Bret Hart. This is the debut of Bret Hart doing the figure 4 on the corner. I hadn't seen him do it before this in the stuff that I'm watching, and I don't think I've ever seen anybody do it before him. Like, I've never seen that. Like, maybe somebody did it in Japan or something like that. But I think that's something that Bret can say he invented, I think.
I agree.
I don't know if I ever really see very many people do it now. But I don't watch a lot of modern wrestling.
I saw Charlotte Flair do it recently, like a couple of months ago. But she did it terribly. And I watched somebody try to do it in Japan. And the guy tried to do it in Japan on his opponent, and his opponent's legs were too short. So the guy almost broke his own neck because he was standing on his own head. And when the guy let go, he came down hard on his own head. And I was like, Jesus. Yeah.
Well, Bret invented it, and he did it right here. Sid ends up... Bret ends up knocking Sid down, and Austin comes out and he nails Sid, and then he hits Bret with a chair. Sid hits the power bomb, Sid hits the power bomb, and then he pins him 1, 2, 3, and we have a new champion, Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid Vicious. Bret Hart's title reign only lasted one day, and it was ended by that shithead Steve Austin. This time he's still a shithead. He's still like an asshole. He's starting to become cool, but he's still like, he's not like happy to go like, I'm gonna beat up only the mean guys. Like he's just like everybody, fuck them all.
Yeah.
And Sid ends up winning. The place goes fucking nuts. For one, they're in Nashville, so Sid was. I talked about this on another episode. One, like it seems like Tennessee is like Canada, where the fact is if you were over there, like if you worked there, they love you.
Yep.
You're their guy now.
Tennessee and Kentucky both.
Yes. So if you work for USWA or championship wrestling down there or whatever down there, you're and you come back, you're the king. And Sid was super fucking over. And then they go even more batshit crazy because the Undertaker comes out and him and Sid have a face-to-face. They don't touch. And Jim Ross says that finally our WrestleMania main event has been decided. It's going to be Sid versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 13. And
I am pretty positive, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I also believe this is the first time that the WWF Championship ever changed hands on Monday Night Raw.
I think you're right.
I'd have to go back and research it. You have to go back and research it, but I think it is.
I don't remember. Definitely didn't happen in 93, 94, or 95.
Mm-hmm.
Barely even got defended.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. But yeah,
Right.
I think it is. I think it is the first time. But anyway, beside the point, there's just a little history there for the moment.
This was a really good show.
The Undertaker coming out at the ending of Raw was meant to say, F you, Brett, you're not getting another shot. But we find out a couple weeks down the road that Brett still has one more title shot left in him before WrestleMania. Just to see if they could ruin the WrestleMania main event one more time.
So, all in all, very good Monday Night Raw. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Definitely.
And unless you guys have anything else on it, we can move into Nitro. Unless you guys need a break.
I don't yet.
Nope, I'm good.
All right.
I'm good.
All right. WCW Monday Nitro, February 17th, 1997, from the Florida State Fairgrounds. WCW always went to fairgrounds, and they tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't tell people you're at the fairgrounds. Like, don't say you're at the state fair. Like, they literally were at the state fair. Like, stop telling people that.
Yeah,
like Vince would go to dumpy places, but he didn't tell you. He'd just make it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'd say, "Oh, like if they're," I don't want to say it. Like if he was in a, I don't know, if they're in like a dumpy town or whatever, they tell you whatever town it is that's closest to them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Say the marquee town, not the dumpy town. Right.
Yeah. Don't tell me you're at the fair. But anyway,
see, that was WCW making it worse too, because we talked about this last week, I think, Aaron, when they used to go to Sturgis and would be like, "There's 89,000 bikers here," and no, they're not there at Road Wild though. They're there at Sturgis. You just so happen to go to Sturgis and make Road Wild. So you're at the fairground right now, and you're like, "We have 27,000 people here at the fairground." Yes, because they came to the fair. They didn't buy a ticket for WCW.
They came for the fucking Tilt-A-Whirl and deep fried Oreos.
Right.
Not Hugh Morris versus
Lex Luger.
Not for Hugh Morris versus Mongo McMichael, which is an actual match on this show.
Right.
But anyway,
right.
Show opens up. Tony and Larry are your announced. Tony Schiavone and Larry Zbyszko are your announced team. The NWO arrives. They're walking in, and all of a sudden, like they're all doing the whole "woo" the NWO thing, and then Big Bubba mysteriously goes down, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And Bubba's down, and they're all checking on him and everything like that, but nobody saw what happened to him. So the first match out the chute is Rey Mysterio. They don't do a lot other than that at the beginning of the show. They don't do a lot of hyping. There's not a lot of videos or anything like that. Just here's the NWO. Bubba gets knocked down, and obviously Tony and Larry. It's an NWO guy, so fuck them. You know, get the show on the road. and it's Rey Mysterio versus Super Callow, which is actually a pretty good match. As it's going on,
Definitely.
Big Bubba's being shown being loaded into the ambulance, and Michael Wall Street offers to go with Big Bubba to the hospital.
Because they're buddies.
Yeah, they're buddies.
In the NWO like hierarchy, those two are buddies. Like they're like the D team, you know.
Yeah, they're middle management.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like they're looking at Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and Hogan being like, yeah. And then when they leave, be like, the fucking benefits of this place, man.
I was promised a lot of pussy. Yeah. I've gotten no pussy.
I got moderate amounts of pussy. And Boss Man and Bubba's like, well, in their defense on that one, you are Michael Wall Street. Come on now.
Bubba's like
even that T-shirt ain't gonna.
Yeah.
You're real sweaty, Mike. You're sweaty.
You are Michael Wall Street.
You're always very sweaty, man.
And Bubba Rogers like, all I asked for was a T-shirt that fit, but they had to cut it at the sides. Couldn't even give me a fitting T-shirt, man.
So he goes with his buddy to the hospital. Nobody else was like, Mike, we'll go instead. It's like, go ahead.
The funny thing is after this, we never see them again. I mean, on the show, on Nitro in general.
So this match is going on. Rey Mysterio ends up getting a West Coast pop. They didn't call it that at the time. And beating Rey Mysterio. And he is going into Super Brawl to face Steven Regal, which they talk about. And Regal kind of comes out and watches Rey Mysterio. And if I remember right, it's a fantastic match at how could it not be? Steven Regal versus Rey Mysterio, but that's coming up. The next match.
Happen. Spoiler alert, it doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, he fights fucking Prince Ikea.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Sorry. Hate to break your bubble.
Anyway,
I wanted Regal and Mysterio too, but I really had Mysterio.
The next match is an match as well. It's Hugh Morris, like I said. The aforementioned Hugh Morris versus Steve Mongo McMichael. The least you can say about this, the better. It's very bad, just very, very bad. Hugh Morris gets Mongo. Hugh Morris gets him down, and he goes to do the moonsault on a Steve McMichael, but Deborah throws him his briefcase, and he holds it, and he ends up moonsault in the briefcase, and Mongo pins him.
I want to throw a thought in here real quick, and I don't know if, as we've talked about these shows, if I've said this out loud or not. If I have, you guys can be like, Jesus, Nate, you already said this. I don't necessarily have a problem with Steve McMichael. Here's my thing about McMichael.
We've discussed him.
Okay. Because my thing about him is I like him. I like him as a personality. I like his promos and stuff. And he was serviceable if he was teaming with Arn Anderson or Dean Malenko or somebody, or Chris Benoit or whatever. He was fine in a team where he could come in and just kind of be the guy that punches and kicks and then tag in the wrestler. He never should have been put into singles action. You know what I mean? Because he was a good personality.
I totally agree. And he should have never been like a U.S. champion.
Mm-hmm.
Any of that. But this thing stunk.
Definitely shouldn't have fought Reggie White at Slamboree.
Oof.
Yeah,
Kevin Green was bad enough, but at least Kevin could fight.
Yeah, this thing stunk to high heaven, and the sooner it got in and out, the better. Then they played a really sappy Roddy Piper video, showing him with his kid and all that. It's just it kind of, I don't want to say went in reverse with it, but it kind of it made him seem kind of weak. And
A lot of what they did make Piper seem weak.
And it to me, that's what it did to me. I was just like, like it's like when Ricky Steamboat would have his family out there with him all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. It's like it was cool at the moment that the boy was out there, and like I said, I liked that segment and everything, but don't keep harping on it. And he's like, I gotta do it for Colton. It's like, no, just that was cool segment at that moment, but move on. Then Dean Malenko comes out and he is facing Robbie Brookside. Robbie Brookside just shows up. Here he is. And later on, there's another British guy. So they must have been trying to do something. I don't know if they were trying to work something out with like whatever the British promotion would have been at the time over there. I don't think World of Sport. But anyway.
No, I think at that point it would have been, I'm going to, like the top, what was it, Top Wrestling or something like that?
But Malenko comes out and
Rollerball Rocco has joined the NWO. Go ahead. Sorry.
But Malenko cuts a promo, which he doesn't do very much. And Tony and Larry do a good job of saying that if Dean's cutting a promo, he must be really pissed. And he's talking about 6. Brookside doesn't really do anything in this match, even though he was really good. But in this match, he does nothing. Malenko gets a Texas Cloverleaf on him. And Six-Pac comes out and says that he respected Boris Malenko because Boris Malenko trained X-Pac. He respected Boris Malenko, but he's dead now, so it doesn't really matter. And he doesn't respect Dean Malenko at all. So they went with some realism in this feud, which I always enjoy as long as you do it respectfully. And it wasn't like, oh, you're dead, daddy. He said, I respected your father. Like, basically, he was saying, I respected your father enough to where I didn't do anything to you, even though I could have. But he ain't here no more. And he's like, your daddy trained me. You didn't train me, so I don't owe you shit. That's basically what he said. And he was like, so he ain't around. Basically, it's like, if your dad was around, I probably wouldn't be kicking the shit out of you and stealing your belts. But your daddy's dead, so that part that's over. And suck it. So it's really well done. Then the NWO interrupts the show. Hall, Nash, and Pac. Sorry. They're involved. They're talking about the car crash that involved them and the Steiners. Tape of the accident. Hold on. I want to make sure. What I saw. Yeah. Basically, there's a tape of this car incident between the Steiner brothers and the NWO, and they haven't seen the tape yet. Nobody knows exactly what happened, but the outsiders, just some kind of thing happened. Something happened, and we're going to see it.
The way they present the outsiders are acting like a freaking Scott Steiner tried to run them off the road.
Or they haven't seen the video yet. Yeah, but they haven't seen the video
though.
Well, they haven't seen the video yet.
It's totally different. I'm not saying anything about it, but it's like, it's the worst stock footage I've ever seen.
So then Zbyszko wants to fight Scott Hall. Scott Hall kind of backpedals away from Zbyszko a little bit. And then they leave. Then the Amazing French Canadians versus the Public Enemy. And I wrote, fucking hell.
You sure it's not the Quebecers?
No, it's French Canadians. They're good.
Just making sure.
These Public Enemy, man. Ugh, fuck, like I said, fucking hell.
So bad. So bad.
Which they end up beating the Amazing French Canadians. And then Mean Gene interviews DDP. And DDP is hinting that he's the one that took out Big Bubba. And then just basically admits that he's the one that took out Big Bubba. And then we get Prince Iaukea.
Mystery solved.
Yeah.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
Like it's not even like investigated. He comes out, he's like, "Yo, remember what you guys were talking about 45 minutes ago? Yeah, I did that.
That was me. I did that.
It was me. It was me. It was me.
Like it wasn't even like, oh,
me,
look at this.
me.
Yeah, it wasn't even like, oh, look at this security footage we found. And you see like DDP sneak out and sneak away. He's just like, yeah,
I did that.
I did that. And the funny part is like the NWO doesn't even come out and attack him or like want to fight him or anything. They're just like, yeah. He took out
Thanks
middle
for getting
man.
rid of the dead weight. Yeah, thanks for
Took
getting rid
out
of the dead
middle
weight. We're
management.
good.
I think that's when we'll start calling anybody on the B team of the NWO
Middle management.
middle management.
But see, you said that B team, that they weren't even B team. B team was like when Stevie Ray and Brian Adams and Virgil would get together. This was like Nate called a D team. These were like guys who joined the NWO for no reason whatsoever. We're just like, well, they need more members. Give them Wall Street and Bubba.
I just picture the NWO voice guy going, middle management.
Right. D team. Did the D team.
Middle management.
Mediocre pussy at best.
Like,
All right, I'm
sitting there
sorry.
going, what did that just say? What did that voiceover guy just say?
I like being on Aaron's show because I don't have to be professional. I don't have to be the host.
Exactly. Right.
I'm the host, and I'm not going to be professional. Then Prince Iakea is going to fight Steven Regal here for the television championship. Mean Gene interviews Regal on the way to the ring, says he's a fighting champion. They're having their match. Prince Iakea ends up winning the WCW World Television Championship from Lord Steven Regal off the distraction of Rey Mysterio.
So at one point in the history of the WCW World Television Championship, Scott Hall dunked it in a trash can like a basketball. The only thing worse to ever happen to that title was when Prince Iakea won that title.
Yes.
Do you know why? Do you guys know why the title was put on him?
Because Kevin Sullivan liked him.
No. Because Eric Bischoff and Kevin Sullivan both looked at him and went, he looks a lot like Rocky Maivia. And they've got the Intercontinental title on that guy. So we should do the same thing on our show.
Yeah, like nothing like Rocky Maivia.
If you don't believe me, I know that, but they felt it was similar. Samoan, if you don't believe me, there's a shoot video on Kevin Sullivan and Eric Bischoff saying it. They all did it to capitalize on Rocky Maivia. Why, I don't know.
They
Worst
were definitely
wrestler in the entire industry.
They were definitely wrong. I mean, he wasn't. I don't want to make this the Prince Iakea show.
The match he has with Rey Mysterio at that pay-per-view now with him with the title was botcherific.
Yeah, no. What I will say about Iakea is that where I will come to his defense is he was a moderately decent worker. However,
he was boring.
He was boring, and at this point, at this time, he was not ready for national stage pro wrestling.
No.
So in other words, maybe if you'd have given him a couple of years, he could have gotten better because he wasn't awful. But like Aaron said, he was boring, and and like I said, he was not ready for this type of a position.
No, he really wasn't.
And then the next match is if Randy Anderson can beat Nick Patrick, he gets his job back. Okay, so Nick Patrick comes out. Randy Anderson comes out. Jimmy Jett gives Randy Anderson a pair of brass knuckles. Just hands them to him right on camera. And as that is going on, obviously Nick Patrick doesn't see it because he's talking a bunch of shit to the fans. And then They ring the bell to start the match. Randy Anderson decks Nick Patrick with the brass knuckles, pins him 1, 2, 3, and that's the end of the match. And now Randy Anderson has his job back, or so he thinks, because then Eric Bischoff comes out, confronts Anderson and Jet about the fucking brass knuckles, talking about how bad of it was. Talking about how it wasn't the right thing to do, and Jimmy Jet should be ashamed of himself, and so should Randy Anderson. So then he fires both of them. So now Jimmy Jet and Randy Anderson are out of work. You guys there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I just didn't. Everybody blanked out on me there for a minute. But
No, I think I'm a little bit of a lag. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Well, Randy Anderson and Jimmy Jet are now both fired because of this, and that is how this segment ends. And it kind of jumped the shark a little bit with Randy Anderson, Eric Bischoff thing. Like, this should have just been it. Like, it should have been like, okay, Randy's back, whatever. But it's kind of jumped the shark. But it was a fun little segment. Excuse me. The next match. There's nothing to report here, but it's Chris Benoit versus Roadblock.
Wow, that's an odd pairing.
Ouch.
Yes. And I can't figure out why. Like, I don't know why it's happening. Like, in my mind, I thought, oh man, is he getting ready to fight like the Giant or something? And then I'm like, no, the Giant is in this other thing with the Outsiders. You know what I mean? So I don't know why it's happening. But Chris Benoit ends up beating Roadblock. Like I said, there's nothing to report. He hits the swan dive, headbutt on him, takes him out. Now, the next thing is the video. The video of the car accident. The NWO's driving through, and they're like, oh, look at this town. Like, I don't know exactly where they were at, but they're just making fun of the town. It's like, oh, this is where
the fair is.
This is like supposedly like before it or whatever. But they're videotaping an Xbox in the back seat or whatever, and like Scott Hall's like, yep, well, this is where WCW has their spot shows. Like this dump town or whatever.
There's nothing better than inside baseball, Scott Hall.
Yeah. Like he meant that.
Yes.
He meant it. He wasn't trying to be like NWO Scott Hall. He was like, we go to some
whenever I see a segment with Scott Hall on WCW, because he never pulled that shit in the WWE. But whenever I see a segment involving Scott Hall in WCW, I like froth at the mouth because I'm waiting for the inside baseball shit. Because Scott Hall, he was so good at that, like at being at shooting but not shooting, you know.
And he could also get away with it because if somebody was like, "Why'd you say that?" He was like, "I'm in the NWO."
Right.
I didn't mean that. That's my character, man.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I guess. My favorite Scott Hall lines are the what are we too close to Portland?
Yeah.
Was it real? I love those. But I also like when they're like, okay, and now Triple H will hit Sting with the Sting will go for the Stinger splash, but Triple H will hit him with the butt of the head sledgehammer and then pin him 1, 2, 3. And Kevin Nash is like, Scott looked at me and was like, shit, Sting needs to get a better lawyer.
Sting needs to get a better lawyer.
First match, only match, the WWE's gonna lose. Lawyer. That's a fucking great line. And you know, Ash Horse laughed at that shit. But anyway, they got to show this car accident, and I remember it being bigger than what it was as a kid. I don't know. But they see the Steiners, and they're getting in their car at the gas station or whatever. and they're just slowly following behind him. And then they end up like they're just kind of making fun of him and shit like that. And then they end up basically getting up beside him, bumpering him a little bit, and then getting on the side of him. And Scotty's like yelling at him and shit. And he goes over to the driver's side, and Rick's yelling at him. And then they sideswipe him. The car goes towards a ditch, hits like some kind of incline,
Flipped over.
And
basically, all you're thinking is the Steiners are dead.
The Outsiders and Kevin, the Outsiders and X-Pac, or Six-Pac at this time, are basically like, oh no,
oh shit,
like put the camera off, and
we've just been incriminated.
Just drive away.
All right, as a kid, like Aaron said, we didn't know any better. We were like, oh damn, this was crazy. As an adult rewatching that, like, why would you bring that tape to show people? You basically just committed murder.
And I don't remember it being as cool as it was. Like as a kid, I thought, I don't know. But like when I watch it now, or I shouldn't even say that. Like I know there's like bigger angles and stuff and polarizing things that have happened in wrestling. But I remember people like shitting on this segment. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think it was that bad. And
it was funny. It was very lamb. It was lampoony. Like, I don't know why. I expected to be in a movie.
But yeah, like when they flip the car and they're all just like, oh no, turn the camera off. Like they weren't even expecting that to happen.
Yes.
You know? Right. Like, oh, for the whole video, they're laughing. Paul Nash and Six are laughing through the whole video until the car flips, and then it really got real. Like,
and they're like, "Oh, that was not our intention."
Right. We planned. Oh, I think we just did vehicular manslaughter. We gotta go.
Let's take the tape. Let's take the tape to Monday Night Nitro and play it in front of millions of people. They need to see this shit.
Yes, so that's how that segment ends, and then obviously Larry and Tony are like Larry and Bobby and everybody, they're all upset about it or whatever. Talking how disgusting it is, but it was pretty funny. Then, Mean Gene Okerlund is going to be interviewing Kevin Sullivan, Miss Jackie, and Jimmy Hart because the leather strap match is coming up between Chris Benoit and Kevin Sullivan, and the ladies are involved. Kevin, at this point, Kevin and Chris are going to be strapped together, and so is Jackie and Woman. Okay.
Right.
I'm only explaining this because I want to say what Mean Gene says, and he didn't realize what he said. He interviews Kevin, and then he goes to Jackie, and he says, Jackie will be outside the ring with her leather strap on.
Let me tell you about that, Mean Gene.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart knows all about it. But I'm like, Mean Gene Okerlund did not realize what he just said.
We just pegged Jimmy Hart in this segment.
Yes. And I'm thinking about if Bobby Heenan actually heard what Mean Gene said. How hard was it for Bobby Heenan?
I'm sure Bobby must not laughing.
Does just have to sit there and not say anything, or if it's like, did nobody else catch? Did nobody else catch that Mean Gene Okerlund just said Jackie will be outside the ring with her leather strap on? Like, wow, good Lord, this match is gonna be
controversial at best.
Yeah.
Now, call me at 1-900-909-9900.
I've got pictures. Is this a promo where Jackie and Kevin go back and forth because we're too legit to quit Daddy over and over again?
I don't think they say it on this. I don't remember. After I heard that Jackie will be out there, After he said
Okay.
that she was going to be out there with her leather strap on, I didn't hear anything else.
Okay, because I know for like 4 promos before the actual match, that's all Kevin Sullivan kept saying, and I don't think he knew the context of what he was saying. Like, he didn't know it was an MC Hammer song. He was just saying it because Jackie said it and he thought it sounded cool. But I know they went off about it for like 3 weeks straight. So.
Well, he's also now dating his ebony girlfriend, so he's just starting to learn about black culture.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Like, he's going to be like, you ever had cocoa butter, Mean Gene?
I like listening to that Luther Vandross.
Yeah.
He puts me to sleep.
Pendergrass. But anyway. Then Kevin beats some jobber, and they're out of there. Which I actually kind of like Kevin Sullivan with Jimmy Hart and Miss Jackie. I don't know why. This is a little fun little trio.
It was a weird combination. It was cool.
Yeah. Well, then the next match is Conan versus Eddie Guerrero. And it's really good for a Conan. This might be I don't know if you guys will understand this statement or not, but it's really good for a Conan match and pretty decent for an Eddie Guerrero match.
Makes perfect sense.
Because Conan, like you said, hell of a talent, like I don't know, say promoter,
personality,
like whatever. But Conan in the ring, kind of just never really did it for me. But when you're in there with Eddie Guerrero, you're just osmosis, man. You're gonna have a good match.
Eddie Guerrero got a good match out of Luther Reigns, so yeah,
that's true.
And then that match ends in disqualification because the Dungeon of Doom gets involved and Jericho makes the save. I believe he's going to be fighting Eddie Guerrero coming up. And then we get a typical Four Horsemen promo. Won't go through all that. They're just talking about their issues. And then we get the Giant versus Johnny Swinger and a guy named the Masked Top Gun.
Sounds like from indie results on Slice of Time.
Yeah, I don't know who. I tried to Google it. Who was WCW Top Gun? And it was like Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash. I don't know who was the biggest guy. Google. I went and played Top Gun.
Who was this Jay Brown on Nitro?
Yeah.
Who was Top Gun? Tom Cruise.
It was probably an Armstrong.
I don't know, but no, this guy was like chubby.
No, all right.
Probably
a Viano then.
No chubby Armstrongs.
It's Viano. It's Viano 6.
I don't know who it was, but he didn't last very long. And him and Johnny Swinger got beat. And Lex Luger comes out and he says that he's got a doctor's note saying that he can wrestle. And Bischoff says, which is kind of funny because Bischoff said, if you bring me a doctor's note, I'll let you wrestle at Super Brawl. But then Luger brings in the doctor's note, and Bischoff's like, ain't good enough. Good enough doctor's note. So, no, you can't wrestle.
Well, to Bischoff's credit, Luger said, I can't get a doctor's note the week he asked him for it. He then brought it the following week. And that's when Bischoff said, nope, not going to let you use it. So it was a loophole in Bischoff's wording. Yeah. But it was because they didn't want Lex Luger on the card.
Nobody does.
Right.
But then Roddy Piper is in Alcatraz. And like I said, the Hogan Piper stuff starts out so cool. And then they just start doing things they shouldn't do. And I thought it was stupid that Roddy Piper was in Alcatraz. That's the other joke that Scott Hall said. I bet you got a lot of cigarettes and candy bars in Alcatraz, didn't you, Piper?
The problem with Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper's feuds in WCW and their rivalry in WCW comes down to, I personally think, a matter of, first of all, like, you talked about they played the little video for Roddy earlier. but he's probably not on the show live, is he?
No.
No. So
He
your
goes
first
down the
problem,
past 2 weeks.
your first problem is you, because of the way the contract is structured, he probably only has a limited amount of dates per year.
Right.
So you can't have him on every show. So you got to stretch things out like elastic. Secondly, I'm sure both of them have had creative control. So you have Hogan being Hogan and Roddy being Roddy. And at the end of the day, that's why their finishes always sucked, because nobody wanted to take the pin. You know what I mean? Nobody wanted to be the definitive loser. So you never had any resolution. And like you said, the feuds got convoluted because they both want to be top dog, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And
I agree.
like I said, just him being an Alcatraz was stupid.
It really was.
Then the next match is the final match of the show. It's Chris Jericho, defeating Jeff Jarrett with outside interference from Steve McMichael, which Deborah's upset about. And then Hollywood Hogan comes out, and he's cutting a rambling promo about Roddy Piper being an Alcatraz and this, that, and the other thing. And then Sting and the Macho Man come out, and they're just kind of quiet, and Hogan and Bischoff are like happy about it and saying all this different stuff. And then Sting goes like he wants to run to the ring, but Randy Savage stops him. They turn around and leave, and Bischoff is just like, "Hey guys, thanks for endorsing us." And then Hogan poses, and that's how Nitro ends. Pretty lame. This was a lame edition of WCW Nitro. Other than the
WWF.
Other than the Steiner Brothers getting ran off the road, nothing exciting happened on this entire show.
Right.
Hey, Big Bubba got laid out and had to go to the hospital.
And 20 minutes later, some guy was like, "I did it."
Worst mystery ever.
Yeah.
Right.
So now we'll roll into ECW, and this won't take very long. Not that it was a bad show, just that there wasn't very many
There was
people on
probably
it.
one match and 35 minutes worth of Pulp Fiction song and people cut promos.
And two matches.
Okay.
At first they say it's at the Wonderland. This is in Boston, Massachusetts. It's at the Wonderland Greyhound. So I, not being from Boston, was like, they set up at a Greyhound station?
Right.
ECW? And I looked it up, and it's like, no, I misunderstood what they were saying. It was like a dog track. It was a big dog track in Boston. I looked it up. I was like, I want to make sure I'm not saying that they're at the bus station for ECW.
Right.
No, it's not stupid.
Come on down to the bus station and watch ECW.
The crazy part, though, is with ECW, it doesn't seem
unfathomable.
Right. I had to look it up and make sure.
We're here live where they filmed many scenes for Adventures in Babysitting.
Yes.
Right.
Because, like, as I'm watching it, there's, like, ticket booths and shit like that. I was like, they might actually be at a bus stop. And I looked it up. And I was like, oh, that's why there's ticket counters and shit, because people make bets and stuff on the. I was like, okay. But it's still, it seemed actual that they could be at the bus station.
Can you guys imagine the Raven promo? Elizabeth Shue filmed in this very bus station. And now so have I. Quote the Raven. Nevermore.
Like, I was like, man, Paulie was like, they were like, hey, where's our plane tickets? Be like, nope,
we're taking a bus.
Right, I can get you right to the building.
Yeah, you have to pay your own fare home, though.
Yeah, he wouldn't even got him a round trip.
No, not Paulie.
Yeah, that's funny. But anyway,
he's like, call Dreamer if you have an issue with it.
Right,
he's the one on the bus with me. But anyway. Like I said, it's at a dog track. It's a dog track. It's no longer a dog track. I don't even know if there are dog tracks anymore. Probably illegal now. Huh?
Only in Florida. Only in Florida.
That's a lot of things you can say only happen in Florida.
Right, exactly.
Raven, he's cutting a promo. First talking about Tommy Dreamer never being able to beat him, and then this is actually one of my favorite Raven promos. He's talking about Tommy Dreamer never beat him. Then he starts talking about Terry Funk, and he calls him like an old, crippled up cartoon, and says that Terry Funk reminds him of his father, and he always hated his father. That's why he hates Terry Funk. Terry Funk reminds him of his dad, and all the abuse and the alcohol and the molestation and everything like that all comes boiling out of him when he sees Terry Funk, and that's why he wants to kick his old ass. I just like that promo.
And you know what?
It really was powerful.
I know I always get off the rails, but I have always wondered if Chris Nolan, right, with The Dark Knight. I've always wondered if he was a wrestling fan, because there are parts of, not all of, but parts of that Joker character that Heath Ledger portrayed that have always reminded me of Raven, like the greasy hair and I actually thought about that one time when I was watching the movie, when he's like, I always hated you remind me of my father. I hated my father. And I don't know if he did or not, but that's actually come up in my mind watching that Joker character.
Pretty good. That is a pretty good way of looking at it. I know they also used that storyline of Raven and his dad, only they switched it when Raven and CM Punk were feuding on the Indies. Punk said the same thing to Raven, only what he told him was, you reminded me of my father, and I always hated my father because of the booze and the drugs and the cheating on my mom and all that. And that's exactly what you are, Raven, and that's why I'm straight edge. So, that is something. I guarantee you Raven came up with that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when he got to the Punk, he was like, hey, go ahead and use it against me now.
Right.
So.
And then he also brings up Stevie being his lackey and leaving him, and also Sandman's family. Because at this point, we're going into Bound for Glory. We're going into Barely Legal, and these are basically the top 4 guys. They don't know who's going to be fighting Raven at the pay-per-view yet, but it's going to be one of these guys.
Right.
Then there's a recap of Raven's issues, like now the actual video footage of Raven's issues with Stevie Richards, Sandman, and Tommy Dreamer. And then we go into the first of 2 matches on this show, and it is Sandman versus Devon Dudley in a Boston street fight. Actually, it's your typical ECW brawl. It's entertaining. I enjoyed the match. It was a little long, but it is what it is. They involve a ladder. These Boston people are losing their shit. One guy that's like wearing Sandman hammer pants, and he's like super drunk, but super excited. like he is going off the rails. Almost going over the rail. That's how excited he is. Like, not to attack, but he literally is like, he almost falls. Like, this dude, like, Sandman was this dude's fucking jam sandwich. Like, he was like, he went to this fucking racetrack to see the Sandman, and when it happened, he lost his shit. But anyway, they're brawling. Huh?
Sorry, can I divert again? I know I keep taking your show off the rails here, but okay, so you mentioned a fan. Like, sometimes, do you guys, I know you do, Aaron, Archie, do you? Like, sometimes you're watching a wrestling show, like watching an old wrestling show or something, and maybe what's going on in the ring isn't necessarily capturing your attention. Do you start fan watching? Like, do you start watching the crowd?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So last night, it was literally last night, I'm watching World Class Championship Wrestling from 1982. And the match was King Kong Bundy and Kabuki, I think, against Al Madrill and Tom Boogaloo Shaft. All right. So obviously this match isn't terribly intriguing.
Right.
And I'm crowd watching. And I saw this lady. All right. And remember, folks, this is the Sportatorium. This is Dallas, Texas. This is 1982. This lady is probably in her 60s. She is dressed head to toe in like this pink and rhinestoned like pantsuit. And she's got on a pink and rhinestoned hat. All right. And she is like sauntering down the steps to her seat. And she looks like she is completely fucking hammered. And all I was thinking was at some point back in like the 50s, this lady started going to Texas. She's like talking to people as she's going down the ramp, like the steps too, like talking to people in the crowd or whatever. You know that old lady? Yeah, I was going to say, you know that old lady had gone to Dallas wrestling for like 30 years.
You know,
that was her fucking domain, and she's fucking hammered in her fucking pantsuit and hat at the Sportatorium.
Like when she walks in, everybody knows, oh, there's Sue.
Yeah, there's Sue.
I'd
How
say,
you doing, darling? How you doing, darling?
Yeah.
I'm here for them Von Erich boys, darling.
it's Rhinestone Rena.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I just I was watching this old lady through this whole match and just working the crowd. It's fantastic.
She probably blew Fritz. Like 1962.
Yeah.
How is she going to become a season ticket holder?
Blowing Fritz Von Erich.
He's like, would you like to see Fritz bits? That's my son Curry. He never says Carey, he says Curry. Anyway, go ahead, Aaron. I'm sorry.
Oh, dang.
Dang.
Oh.
Daddy. Oh my God, Daddy.
I'm talking about that time we watched that thing where he watched himself getting hit with the cage.
Yeah.
Like, dang. You were there, man.
He's in that goddamn fur coat.
Yeah. I tell you guys. I've told you guys to listen to Crime and Sports, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys started listening to Crime and Sports yet?
No.
Okay, well, you don't even have. They have like a whole thread of just wrestling. Like you can just type in like Spotify, like Crime and Sports Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you don't even have to be into the sport to listen to it because it's more about the insane crimes that these people do. You know?
Yeah.
Like they've talked about like they talked about. I looked at the date for it. They did a Crime and Sports about Johnny K9, Bruiser Bedlam before Dark Side of the Ring did. Anyway, because he was still alive when they did this. So yeah. But they've done like Johnny K9, Chris Adams, just all these people, Sonny. Just I don't want to put over some other podcast, but I'm saying it because we just brought up the Von Erichs. He's talking about them because they're doing the one on Chris Adams, and Chris Adams, was in Dallas and everything like that.
Right.
They're talking about the Von Erichs, and he's like, obviously we're going to be talking about the Von Erichs at some point. And he goes, there were 5 brothers, only one of them is left, and it's Kevin. He's like, when you look at the guy, you just tell he's fucking stupid. He's like, when you look at him, you can just tell he's fucking stupid. He's like, not even like, chair shots and stuff like that. Just a stupid guy.
Oh my God.
And then when you hear him talk, it's like he sounds like a very stupid version of Matthew McConaughey.
He's not wow, what a call.
Yeah. Like he's talking, and I don't know if I ever heard this. I knew Chris Adams did this, but I didn't know this side note of it. Chris Adams headbutted a co-pilot. Did you guys know that?
Yes.
Like 82 or something? Yes. He was getting belligerent drunk, and this flight attendant said that he couldn't have any more booze. He called her the C word and all this other stuff. So then the co-pilot comes out to talk to him and says, if you keep talking to the flight attendant this way, I could land in Miami. Da-da-da-da-da. Chris doesn't like that, so he headbutts the co-pilot. Okay? breaks his nose, shatters his teeth, all this stuff. And he sits back down next to Tim Brooks, and he asks Tim Brooks, what do you think's going to happen? And he's like, they're going to put you in jail. Like, you're going to prison for this. Like that is what's going to happen to you. Once we land that plane, you're going to prison. She's like, really, you think? Yeah, you're going to prison. So then Kevin goes, and you know what Kevin's idea was?
What?
Let's go in the bathroom, because Tim Brooks said that Kevin said this. He said, let's go to the bathroom and we'll switch shirts. And nobody will know that I'm you and you're me.
But they look nothing alike.
Yeah. And he's the only British guy in the plane.
And we know Kevin can't pull off a British accent.
Yeah, he can barely pull off an American accent. So
wow.
Right.
This whole thing. Let's switch shirts. And I think Chris Evans was even like, "Hey, ain't gonna work."
Yeah, this is worse than the DDP mystery.
Yeah, you asked me to stand up and bring in the bathroom and tell me that, but yeah. Anyway, totally off the rails on that. But this match is going on between Sandman and Devon Dudley, and there's a drop ceiling in this building, okay?
Yep.
And Sandman does something like, like people be like, he climbed up to the rafters and jumped off on him. Sandman climbs into the rafters and jumps off onto Devon and gives him a leg drop. He literally jumps from the ceiling. He climbs up the ladder, hangs from the ceiling,
Yep.
and then jumps off and leg drops Devon Dudley. Pretty
Like if he's done it his entire career.
Yeah. But I just never seen anybody jump actually out of the ceiling. So it's pretty cool. Then Joel Gertner comes out after the match, and Joey's like, I wonder what Joel has to say. And Joel doesn't even get a chance because he gets in the ring and he looks at Sandman, and Sandman just cracks him in the head with the cane. Like, just nails him. And Joey's like, all right, good. I didn't want to hear what he had to say anyway. And then Bubba and Devon attack Sandman because they're together now from last week, and Sandman gets a little bit of offense, but they end up leaving him laying. So this was like I said, it was a typical ECW brawl, but it was good, and the crowd was into it. Then we get a Japanese promo from the great Sasuke, Gran Hamada, and some guy dressed like a crab. I don't know who he was, but he's the guy that gets replaced by the other guy at Barely Legal. So they cut their promo in Japanese and do the ECW #1 thing. And then Taz has a match, and who do you guys think he fights? At this point, he was a guy that had been in the WWF a few times. He ends up becoming a star. Who do you think it is? Young guy.
Let's see. Damn, this is a tough one.
He's been in the WWF a few times.
Yes.
Candido?
Who?
Candido?
Nope. It's Scott Taylor.
Oh, Scott Taylor. I didn't even know he wrestled in ECW. I didn't remember that.
ECW.
Me neither.
He's fighting Taz. And it's actually not a bad match. But we all know what the outcome is going to be. Taz ends up choking out Scott Taylor. And that's how that ends. Like I said, it wasn't a bad match. And then we get a promo with Men's Teo, Taka Michinoku, and Dick Togo. Which, did you guys ever hear what Bruce Pritchard said that everybody called him in the WWF?
Dick to go.
Dick to go.
Dick to go, yeah.
Which is actually pretty funny. There goes Dick to
and
go.
Actually, Jackie, on the prior show we discussed, WCW Nitro, also had a Dick to go.
Yes.
So there you go.
I think that might be the first time anybody's ever put those two words together. Portable dick.
I'm sure it's not. And they're probably all the rage in Germany.
Yeah. Can that be the name of the show this week?
Or the Netherlands.
Hey, we're big in the Netherlands.
Yes, Reliving the Extreme is big in the Netherlands.
You see that poster I made, that picture I made?
I did.
Yeah. We're big in the Netherlands.
Did you see the hashtag that I put along with it?
Yes.
Go there and
said we're the 94th most popular wrestling podcast in the Netherlands.
99. We're literally Reliving the Extreme is literally every week when I look. Like sometimes if you have the way podcast rankings work is it's literally like by the day. So there will be days where I'll look and Reliving the Extreme will be like 96, and then the next day it's like 140 because you know what I mean? Because that day that many people didn't download it. Right. However, we are always every day of the week, every month in the top 100 in the Netherlands. I do it, whatever. That's fine. We love you, Sven.
Out of all the wrestling podcasts. Now, is that just the ones that are available in the Netherlands?
Well, it's whatever they can get in the Netherlands on Apple, because you actually, like, Apple's the only one that makes their charts visible. So you can't actually see Spotify or whatever. You can see how many downloads you've got total when I get into the server.
Yeah.
But I can only see where we're ranked on Apple. But anyway, yeah, it's crazy. The Netherlands just loves Reliving the Extreme.
Well, if we can save enough money, we can go there.
On location.
Yeah.
With our people.
Yeah. It'd be like when Frank Drebin gets off the plane in Naked Gun. Like, no, they're here to see Weird Al Yankovic. Like, shit. It's one of my favorite scenes in a movie. Gets that? No, Frank. They're here to see Weird Al Yankovic. Most random person. So fucking funny. Anyway,
and you know when they proposed to Al was like, "Fuck yes, I'll do that."
A Naked Gun movie with Leslie Nielsen and George Kennedy.
Sign me up.
Anyway, but we get Dick to go and Taka and Men's Teo, and they are about to cut their promo, and guess who shows up? The NW or the BWO, and we see the formation of BWO Japan, and they give them the shirts, and Stevie even gets Taka to look in the camera and go, "Buy the shirt, buy the shirt, buy the shirt." And it's fantastic. And then we just get a Pulp Fiction to end the show with Shane Douglas. It features Shane Douglas, Brian Lee, and Chris Candido. And it's just these guys talking, like Candido's talking about Sabu. Shane's talking about, he talks a little bit about Terry Funk, but he's mainly talking about the pit bulls. Brian Lee's talking about being a gun for hire. He'll take out whoever he needs to take out. And we are moving into CyberSlam in 1997. So that is how the week of February 17th, 1997. That was the Monday. So that's how that week ends. And next, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think if you tell me if you agree with me, I think the promotion that won the week this week was the WWF.
Oh, definitely. It definitely won. I want to check something real quick.
And I did check, by the way, I think while we were discussing Nitro at one point, I jumped on the Wikipedias, and it is the Sid title win is the first time the WWF title changed on Monday Night Raw. So there you go.
Cool.
History in the making, ladies and gents.
Yes. So with that being said, there's one more thing I want to look up just real quick. Sorry, you can edit the pause here out.
It's quite all right.
Yes. Typically, I've done like pay-per-view or Super Show as its own show. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is the first ECW Super Show since we've been doing this that it's available, that the show's actually available on the network, but it's also the same week as Super Brawl. So it's the same weekend. So I was going to maybe leave it up to you. Do we want to review Super Brawl 1997 and CyberSlam 97 next week, or do we want to break them up?
I'd say break them up.
Okay.
Because with super shows, you know, you get it definitely going to get in the weeds.
Yes. So actually, CyberSlam 97 happened first. It happened on a Friday and a Saturday, actually. And then obviously Super Brawl happened on a Sunday. So next week, we'll be reviewing CyberSlam 1997 presented by ECW at the ECW Arena.
All right. Sounds good.
It's got Sabu and Chris Candido on it. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it should be a pretty good show. I thought this was a pretty good show. Archie was taken, so maybe we'll find him eventually.
We're hoping he wasn't. We're hoping he isn't being trafficked.
Yes. And also, I want to thank Archie, who's no longer with us. I'd like to thank him. And Nate, thank you. And thank you guys for listening. See you next week.